Coming right up, Straight Talk with Art Levine. Our guest tonight, U.S. Congressman Alan Lowenthal, as we continue our 22nd anniversary year.
Straight Talk is brought to you in part by the Port of Long Beach, a leader in international trade and environmental stewardship. And the Press Telegram, your local news leader for over 100 years.
Join us for tonight's edition of Straight Talk. And now your host, Art Levine.
Good evening and welcome to Straight Talk. We're delighted you're joining us. Our guest for the entire show is United States Congressman Alan Lowenthal. Alan, welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me, Art.
Congratulations again on your congressional victory. You've been there now 11 months, sworn in on January 3rd. Give us your sense of the last 11 months.
Well, it's been anytime you start something new, and I'm so honored to represent our district in the United States Congress, the 47th, which is a new district, which is really 59% of it is Los Angeles County, primarily Long Beach part, and 41% is Orange County.
So you straddle the county lines.
That's
like
right.
A colossus of roads.
Well, it's really important to kind of break down that barrier
Yeah.
between Orange County and Los Angeles County, and I'm proud to say I'm trying to do that. And so being there has been a great learning experience. There's been many frustrating moments. I wish things worked better. But I'm trying to do my best. I'm on Natural Resources Committee and on the Foreign Affairs Committee. I'm learning. I think one of my strengths is to reach out to everybody and to try to develop relationships.
Well,
that's what I work on.
We need more of that in Washington, and we've talked about that when you were in Sacramento.
That's right.
And you were successful somewhat there in that effort. And God knows we need more reaching out in Washington. Everyone is sick of the deadlock.
I'll give you an example of what I've kind of been doing. Because I've come, in this instance, because I've come to Washington having had experience in the California state legislature, a lot of the California delegation I served with, both Republicans and Democrats in Sacramento. And so, and I remember in Long Beach when we did the base closure.
Yes.
In the middle 1990s,
We
when
all got
Beverly
together
O'Neill,
on
and
that.
we all tried to get, and I was so struck with that every other state delegation really worked for the benefit of their base. And in California, it was very, very hard uniting the California delegation. They didn't really speak with one voice. So one of the things I've done is I've joined with Jeff Denham, who's a Republican, fairly new. I think this is his second or third term, from the Central Valley, who Jeff and I served in the Senate, Republican. And we decided that we were going to try to get the California delegation together, both Republicans and Democrats. And we've kind of hosted a group, and we found out that we did our first meeting together just to get people together. That this is the first time in 40 years that the California delegation has actually met together.
Oh my God.
Those are examples of, especially when you have more partisan that's developed, and you don't have a base of people working together historically.
Well, we wish you
problems.
success in that effort, because I think I speak for most of our viewers and much of the country when we say the country is fed up with this loggerheads, of the log jams in Washington particularly, playing chicken with the debt limit and all that stuff. Enough.
Well, you and I know that some of that has to do with, and we've talked about this, and maybe I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but some of that has to do with structural things. And what I mean by structural problems that the Congress has is that when we saw, as you pointed out, the loggerhead over the getting a budget done, closing down the government, and dealing with the debt ceiling, that everyone, or many of the people who would analyze this would say, in part that's because people are not elected to work together. People, the very basis of how we do elections in this country, are really designed not, people can go home and say, see, I didn't work with them, and that's because we don't have fair elections.
And I have an idea that might work. let the people draw the lines instead of
exactly-
having the parties do it.
That's exactly right, Art. And you and I know, because you've been a great advocate of it, and I have carried much of that load in Sacramento, but I was the one legislator that led it, but in part, it was because my community, and you were one of the people that strongly advocated that we need to have fair redistricting. We need to take it out of the hands of the state legislature and give it to the people.
And
that's
you
what
led
we
the
did.
charge for that in Sacramento. You couldn't even get a co-sponsor of that bill when you first introduced
right.
it, and it became law. And we now have new legislative districts in California drawn by a citizens committee, not by the parties.
And I am finding that, especially since the closing of the government and this shutdown and all the problems around the debts, raising the debt ceiling, that this has been a great opportunity for me to reach out to Republicans who also feel the same way about that and to begin to develop a coalition. And I am now working with a number of Republicans. We're not going to say it's going to end up being exactly the bill that I want, but who also are totally committed to this.
So this would be a national legislation to require states to have citizens committees to draw the lines, and that would result in less safe districts for both parties and more of a chance for moderates to be successful in elections.
It not only would provide, because you can't have competitive districts in every district, but what it would mean would be that districts, if they were drawn fairly, they could not be so overwhelmingly one party or the other party, just overwhelmingly, that person is frightened of attacks from the extreme of their own party. And that's really what's causing
And we
the
recently had
dysfunction.
Senator Ted Lieu on our show, your former colleague
Yes.
in the Senate, and he attributed the more successful session this year to several structural reforms, of which that was one of them.
That's right. The other one, I believe, was the open primary
exactly
in
right.
California. Well, I'm not really advocating that in the national level. It could be. I want to focus on letting the people draw the lines nationwide. And I think what's good about it is not only the fact I'm not naive enough to believe that it's going to get done right away, but I am a strong believer that you've got to build that coalition now, and I've been reaching out, and a number of Republicans and Democrats are reaching out to me to say, let's work together.
We
on
wish
this.
you success in that effort. We learned in law school that the people should select their representatives. The representatives should not select their people.
That's exactly right. We should be communities of interest, not self-interest of elected
Okay, we'll be
officials.
continuing this great conversation with the Congressman after these messages. Stay with us.
At the Port of Long Beach, we're not only delivering jobs, smart ideas, and forward-thinking environmental initiatives. We're also delivering opportunity for all of Southern California. Oh, and a clearer horizon line. To learn more, go to polb.com. The Port of Long Beach, thinking outside the docks.
Hello, I'm Jessica Hardy, a proud Long Beach native and a member of the USA Swimming national team. Having spent much of my life in water, I've developed a deep appreciation for the valuable role that this precious resource plays in our lives. In recent years, California's water supply has become unreliable. To address this reality, Long Beach residents have dramatically reduced their water use through permanent lifestyle changes. In doing so, Long Beach has made itself a leader in water conservation. As I work hard to achieve my personal goal of qualifying for the 2012 Summer Olympics, I encourage you to continue your tremendous efforts to use water in smart and responsible ways. So join me and your fellow Long Beach residents in strengthening the water conservation movement. By making small but significant changes in our water use habits, together we can ensure that we have a reliable water supply for many generations to come.
At Performance Plus Tire, you'll find we carry Toyo tires. For over 50 years, Toyo has been a world leader in the development of high-quality tires. Optimum performance, safety, and a comfortable ride. That's what makes Toyo tires great. And now come into Performance Plus Tire for a great deal on these Toyo tires. Proxys ST, Open Country AT, and Proxys 4. Toyo tires, driven to perform. Come in today and we'll install new Toyo tires on your vehicle while you wait. Performance Plus Tire on Cherry Avenue, 1 mile north of the 405 in Long Beach.